All right, hello. If you're here, say hi in the chat because you're here with me live. But what we're going to be doing tonight is going over this real estate math skills assessment. Now, if you're not one of the students that are in my actual pre licensing class, you've probably never seen this before. This is a document I give my students so that you can try some math and see, hey, do I have the skills necessary in order to learn the math that my real estate instructor or my real estate school is going to teach me? So, more than likely, you're probably watching this and it's later, and you're like, okay, Candace, I had a question about one of the problems on the assessment. Boom. Just fast forward to the ones you need. I'm going to go through and answer all of them. And then, you know what, we'll see how far we get. Maybe I'll do this in two parts. And then, yeah, ask questions in the chat or you can reach me however you want. But let's get started because 20 questions is a lot. But again, hey, Deborah, I'm so glad you could join me. It might just be me and you, but I'm okay with that. So let's just start in a row. Just start with number one. 0.235 equals what percent? Well, guys, if you're trying to learn or trying to remember how to do decimals, you might want to remember, and I'll put it here, Dr. Pepper. If you can remember Dr. Pepper, then this can tell you how you are going to take something to go from a decimal to a percentage. What you do is, well, we know there's two letters there. And that tells you how many places you're going to be moving your decimal place. If you're going from a decimal to a percentage, you're moving it two places, one for each letter to the right. If you're going from a percentage to a decimal, you're moving it two places to the left. So if we're going from decimal to percentage, then I've got 0.235. I'm going from decimal to percentage, so I'm going to the right. I'm going to go one spot, two spots, which means it is 23.5%. Now, some of you are looking at this and saying, hey, you passed your exam this morning. What, Jordan? Oh my goodness, you get your song. Sorry, I just looked up and...
Good job, good job. Good job, good job. G-O-O-D-J-O-B. Good job, good job.
And you get your song.
My money don't jiggle, jiggle, it folds. I like to see you wiggle, wiggle, for sure.
I am so glad you popped in to tell me that. That makes my entire day. I love that for you. I'm so proud of you. That is so awesome. So, oh, love it, love it, love it, love it. Y'all, oh, we love that so much. Yay. Oh gosh, that just makes my day. It makes my day, and it makes, hey, I'm doing this at 7 o'clock at night, but if it means you all pass, I am cool. So yes, Jordan, I'm so proud of you. Good job. Good job. All right, y'all can't see me dancing over here, but I am. All right, let's move on to number 2. And Jordan, thank you so much. And for anybody, if you have questions, if you need me to stop, then just let me know. So it says 3/14 equals what decimal? Well, I'm going to say people, when we're talking about fractions, you know that the top number is, well, let's just draw a circle. This is a whole. And if you put it into two pieces, one piece right here would be 1/2 because it's one of the pieces, but there's two total. Right. So anytime we're talking about fractions, we're generally saying, hey, there's something less than a whole. Now, I could go down this train a lot, but let's get down to what you really want to know. And that is, hey, if you have a fraction, in order to turn it to a decimal, treat this sign like a divided sign. In fact, it does look like a divided sign. If I get rid of the 3 and the 14, I put a dot here and I put a dot there, hey, look, it's the same. So what I would do is put in my calculator, 3 divided by 14. That's all you need to do, 3 divided by 14, and that's going to give you, I got my calculator here, and you all are welcome to follow along. 3 divided by 14 equals 0.2143. Now let me stop right there Because some of you all were taught, and you'll say this to me, oh, well, I learned you just need to put the big number in first. So let's say you did do that. Let's say you said, doop boop, helps if I get the right number, 14 divided by 3. And what you're going to get when you do that is 4.66. That can't be right. Remember, I said a fraction is less than a whole. You have 14 pieces of a circle, and we're only using 3. That's got to be less than a whole. And this says there are 4 holes, and then that says holes. You just can't tell. Boop. And that still is awful. And then 0.66 is the less than whole. Right? So 4.66 can't be right. You don't always just stick the big number in first. Absolutely not. Use it the way you see it. 3, the divided sign, 14, 2.2143. All right, rolling on. We got 143% equals what decimal? All right, well, we remember this. This is our Dr. Pepper. You're either going to the right or the left. This time we're going from a percentage to a decimal. So we're going up here to the left. So if I have 143%, we know there's actually a decimal there. We don't put it there, but the decimal is there. And so what I need to do is move it over. So I move it 1, I move it 2, and that gives me 1.43. All you got to remember is just move your decimal. Can you multiply by 100, divide by 100? Yeah, that's cool and all, but sometimes you just want to go faster and you just say, all right, I got this. It's 1.43 because 143%, 100% is your whole. And then 43 is, almost half of another. So yeah, 143% means you have one whole and almost half of another one, right? Okay, now I promise we'll get to some harder math in a little bit. I know this is basics, but this is how you do it. We start with the basics, and then we'll get to some harder problems. All right, what is 19% of 234? What I would do to solve this is I would say 234 times 19% equals the answer. Now, some of you all might wonder why I put the percentage sign second. That's because most calculators, if you want that percentage sign, you got to do it last. So 234 times 19% is going to give us 0.44. Oh, sorry, it's 44.46. It helps me if I actually get this right. Boop-a-doop-a-doop. 44.46. Great. Well, this one says 56 is what percentage of 143? Some of you all just look at this and you know how to do it. And the way you would do this, the answer literally is 56 divided by 143. That's how you find it. But the question is, why? And it relates to up here. Up here, we had a whole. We multiplied it by the percent, and then we got a portion or a part of that number. Well, we could do the same thing here, except we're looking for something different. This time, we're saying, oh, the answer is 56. And we multiplied this by some percentage, but we started with 143. See how this and this are basically the same? We're just looking for something different. We're looking for our unknown. So what am I going to do? Well, the rules are, if I want to get this by itself, I need to get rid of this extra stuff. I just want the question mark. So we're going to take an opposite. The opposite of multiplying by 143 would be dividing by 143. And what we do on this side of the equation, or the equal sign, we got to do on this side. So that means my unknown number, would be 56 divided by 143, which, look, that's what I said we were going to do. That's why you do it. Sometimes you all ask me, why do I multiply? Why do I divide? When do I multiply? When do I divide? This is not necessarily a T-bar video, but if somebody watching wants me to T-bar, I will show it to you very quickly. But I want to show you the basic math skills. Why are we dividing? Because it's part of this. Like, we had to get this by itself. And when we do that, we put this in the calculator. That's going to give me 56 divided by 143. And I got 39.391, which I have to move this over if I want a percentage. 1, 2, that's 39.1%. That's the answer for this one. Doop. Hopefully that helps. If you have a question, remember, I can see the chat. You can ask it, but really this is just about a recording. So if people have questions, then you can ask it. And also, guys, if you're not one of my actual, like, I teach you every day to pass the test, and you're looking for this document, just shoot me an email. You all know, you can shoot me an email, which is Candace@CandaceEllis.com. If you want this document, or you can just drop it in, YouTube, whatever. But I don't mind sharing it with you. It's just to talk about math skills. All right, let's move on to number 6. 76 is 80% of what number? Well, again, this is going to feel similar to this one. You have a part, you have a rate, you have a whole. What I mean by that is there's a, helps if I get it right here. Boom. If you take a whole, you multiply it by a rate, you'll get a part. If I have 100 of something and I take away 25%, well, then I'm left with 25 of those things. So the part is a portion of. It's always easy to find the percentage. Well, that's the 80%. And it's saying 76 is up 80% of what number? So what we know is that 76 is 80%. It's almost most of some unknown number. So how do we solve for this? Again, we got to get this by itself, which means we have to get rid of that on this side. And what's the opposite of multiplying by 80%? Dividing by 80%, which means I'm going to divide by 80% here. So I'm going to do, the answer is 76 divided by 80%. And when I do that, I get 95. Final answer. Now, again, I know some of y'all are like, I knew that. But you know what? There's somebody out there that's like, ooh, I needed a little bit reminder. And if this is a little reminder you needed, cool. Because remember, your real estate commission or association or group, whatever it is that gives you your license in your state, they're assuming you already know this. And sometimes schools just don't have enough time to teach this to you. That's what this video is for. All right, let's do number 7. Which of the following does not express 25% of n? Well, let's see what we got. Got 3 options. Well, if you're doing math, do you all remember for option A, this is basically saying take 0.25 and multiply it by n. And guess what, guys? 0.25, if we Dr. Pepper it, is 25%. So if you want to find 25% of n, yeah, well, that would be 25%. Like this is good. This is 25% of n. All right, well, let's look at B. Let's look at B. 1/4 of n. We just learned how to turn that n or that 1/4 into a decimal. 1 divided by 4 equals 0.25. And 0.25 is 25%. So 25% of n, well, yeah, that's the right answer. But this 25n. What's missing? Remember, last time it was next to each other, we multiplied. 25 times n means you're doing n times n plus n plus n plus n. You're doing this 25 times. So that's not going to be a portion of n. That's going to be n a bunch of times. So that is not 25% of n. There you go. All right, 7 down. That's not too bad. Rut-row wrote off. We are doing some area math. All right, let's read this problem. If the perimeter of a rectangular house is 25 1/3 yards and the length is 22 feet, what is the width in feet? What? What is this? But guys, this problem has a whole lot of things we need to talk about. Do you know what perimeter is? Do you know how to convert from yards to feet? And then do we know the area? I mean, what? There's a lot going on here. So let's start with the most basic. No worries, Tricks. No worries at all. I'm just glad you're here. You missed some basic decimals and percentages and fractions and stuff like that. So it's okay. Well, let's say first, it's asking me about a perimeter. What does perimeter mean? Let's talk about the difference here, and I'm going to use this. A lot of times we talk about area. We'll say, oh, there's a square, and this is 5, and this is 10, and then we say, oh, the area, if it's 5 and 10 feet, which, by the way, when you see something that goes like that, that means foot. But if you had something that had double, if this was 10 feet, this would be 5 inches. So the double means inches, but that's not what I want to deal with right now. It's 5 feet by 10 feet. Well, what we do is we go area equals length times width. So 5 times 10 equals 50 feet squared, or 50 square feet. That's telling us, okay, I'm coloring this in. If I was painting this, that's how much paint I would need. Perimeter Well, remember, when we do the meets and bounds, if this was a survey, you know there'd be a point of beginning, and you'd start here, and we go a certain amount of feet that way, and then you stop here, and then you go a certain amount of feet that way. And what we say is we're drawing the perimeter to find out what the square feet in here. Like, you get what I'm saying? But perimeter is just the outline itself. This feet, then this feet, then this feet, then this feet. Well, if it's truly a square, we know if this is 10 feet, this has to be 10 feet. And if this is 5 feet, then this has to be 5 feet. So what is 5 feet, this one, plus 10 feet, this one, plus 5 feet, this one, plus 10 feet? Right? If I did that, that looks like it's 30 feet if I can add correctly. That's a perimeter. And that's what this problem is asking me for. What is the perimeter of a rectangular house? So first, let me draw a rectangular house. Boom. Now, in general, when you see two numbers, if you had a problem that said, you know, a house is 45 feet by, 20 feet. I'm just making up numbers. It's actually really stupid, but fine. It's 45 feet by 20 feet. The 45, that first number is the width, and the second number is the length. And the width, pretend there's a street here. Or if there's an ocean here. These are ocean waves, can't you tell? This right here, that is the width. It's how wide, how much of the road or the ocean does it touch. And this right here is the length. It's how deep or how far back, how far away from the ocean, how far back from the ocean do you go? So it's telling you the perimeter is 25 1/3 yards and the length is 22 feet. So I know this length is 22 feet. But the width they're giving me is, they're telling me it's 25 1/3 yards. Now, first of all, these numbers make no sense in real life. I just chose some numbers when I was doing this. I don't know of any houses that are going to be 25 1/3 yards wide. Why? Because we have to know what a yard is. A yard is equal to 3 feet. So if, remember, like a yardstick, you know that thing you measure people, there's 1 foot, 2 feet, 3 feet. So we're saying this house is 25 yardsticks wide. That is huge. It's 25. So you're taking 25 times 3 feet. So, I mean, oh my goodness. 25 and 3 feet, like right there. So, but let's look at it this way. First, let's take this 1/3 and let's make it into a decimal. Because right now, guys, this is in yards. This is in yards. This is in feet. It's like apples and oranges. Either we need to do the problem in feet or we need to do the problem in yards. I personally like feet, so I'm going to turn my yards into feet. So what do I do? Okay, well, first I'm going to turn this 1/3 into a decimal. So that means it's 25 and 1 divided by 3, and that's going to give me 25.33333 repeating. Because when I put in the calculator 1 divided by 3, what I get is 0.33333 repeating. So I know this house is 25.333 feet wide, and it's 22 feet deep. Right? Okay. Well, what is this question asking me? What is the width in feet? All right, well, we just figured that out. We literally just figured it out. All right? So, okay. Oh, wait, we didn't really quite figure it out. This is 25. I take that back. What am I thinking? Nope, 25.33 is there, and each, that's 23.33 yards. Sorry, I'm losing my mind. So 25.33 yards, what I can do is I can say, all right, 25.33 times 3. Does that make sense? Because what we're saying is, if there's 25 yardsticks and each yardstick is 3 feet, 25.33 is equal to 75.99. 75.99, that's feet. This is 75.99 feet, although it was 25.33 yards. The basic here is you got to know what a yard is. You need to know how feet are. And what we need to know is the difference between length and width. Right? Now, if this thing had asked me, how many square feet, what is the area, and I'll change colors here. What was the area? Well, we know area is equal to length times width. Our length was 22 feet. Our width was 25.33 yards. But once again, apple and oranges, I got to change this to feet, which we just did. It's 75.99 feet. So area would be equal to 22 feet times 75.99 feet. And the area would be is that right? 22 times 75.99 equals, I got 1,000, it just doesn't seem right. Oh yeah, I guess it does. 1,671.78. Somebody check that. Is that right? Did I do that right? I think so. I don't know. We'll go with it. I think that's right. Yeah. Length times width. The width is 22 feet. The width is 25.3, which is 75.99. It just seems like a very small number. 22 times 76 equals, 16.72. Yep, that's right. That's right. Now, guys, I've never professed to be a math genius. And if I can do this math, you can do this math. Sometimes we just have to look at what we're doing and say, does that make sense? I don't know. Right? So, let's roll on. Sue. Right? Ooh. You know what, guys? I'm losing my entire mind. You know what? I was like, something's not right here. I'm losing my entire friggin' mind. What am I doing? I can't believe I'm doing this. I cannot believe. This is what happens when I do something late at night. Nobody was going to tell me I was doing that problem wrong. Womp, womp. Hello? Hello? I was like, something's not right here, and I know what it is. I just said I don't profess to be a math genius, and now let's start this over. Let's pretend I didn't do all that. That was a great explanation of something, but it was not that question. I got nothing. It's what happens when I taught from 9 to 3, and then I did something from 4 to 5, and then I did 5 to 6. I scarfed down some food, and now I'm here at 7. So just pretend that was user error ID 10T. That was user error ID 10T on my part. Let me do this correctly. Oh my gosh, losing my mind. So now let's do this right. This thing says it's got a perimeter. Remember the perimeter. Let's say this is piece A, this is piece B, this is piece C, and this is piece D. That's not a D. Now it is. It's piece D. Perimeter is equal to A plus B plus C plus D. Right? I think we all know I'm an idiot. I can't believe I just did that. I'm just in the zone. You're in the zone. Hey, look, everything I said kind of made sense. It's just not what the question was asking. I did all of that to say, only to find out, Candace, that's not what they were asking. They said if the perimeter of the house is 25.13 yards. I totally read that wrong, but I said this earlier in the webinar. Words matter. Details matter, and I just went off on a tangent that was wrong. So hopefully if you do that on the test, you'll come up with this wild answer and be like, that's not right. What did I do? You reread the question. Guys, just because real estate teachers do this every day does not mean we are perfect. So let's go back to this. Well, if the perimeter of the house is 25 1/3 yards, and the length is 22 feet, what's the width in feet? So we are looking for C. That makes sense? We are looking for C. So we know this right here is 22 feet, right? So if we know D is also equal to B. This is a square. Whatever this has got to be the same thing. So B is 22 feet and D is 22 feet. All right, I get that. B and D are 22 feet. All right. So what we know is that we could say A plus 22 plus C plus 22 is going to equal 25 1/3 yards, which we already know is 25.33. Right? 25.33, which we also know was, and remember we did this 25.333333, and that we know is, let me do it again, 25.3333 times 3. That was, I'm going to round this to 76 feet. Okay? We know if we add A, B, C, and D, we're going to get 76 feet. So 76 feet is equal to A plus 22 plus C plus 22, which means 76 feet is equal to A plus C plus 44 feet. Does that make sense? A plus C, the A plus C plus 44 is equal to 76. All right? Now, this is where I just want you to think about what it is that we're doing. If this is 22 feet and this is 22 feet, altogether, these two, account for 44 of the 76 feet. So if I take the 76 and I subtract out the 44, right? So I got to get rid of this 44, I got to subtract 44. I got to subtract 44. Then that gives me 32. 76 minus 44 is 32. So that means, you know what? I should probably do it this way to make sense. 76 minus 44 is equal to A plus C. So we know that 32 has to be if I added A and I added C together. Well, remember, whatever this is, this has to be. We know the total feet is 76. If we've accounted for 44 of those feet, that gives us 32 feet left over. And that has to be an equal amount. So I'm going to take 32 and divide it by 2. And that's going to give me 16. What? That was ridiculous. But here's the thing. We've got to know that words matter. Details matter. And we need to understand how perimeter works. We need to understand how perimeter works. Remember, width is, hey, if this is a road, this is a width. And then how deep it is, that's either going to be your depth or your length. All right. Let me get a drink of water, pull myself together. Let's see if I can do the next problem correctly on the first time around. Y'all, I tell you, I'm not good at math. I'm just good at continuing and trying to make it make sense. I promise you I'm not good at math. Y'all just saw I'm not good at math, but it doesn't mean I can't learn to be better. You don't have to get all the math right. You just got to get some of the math right. And hey, if we can work through this problem, we can work through it all. All right, let's do number 9. Let's actually read it correctly. Sue receives a base salary of $90 weekly plus a 12% commission on all sales. You hope you don't forget it in the next 5 minutes. That's okay, Tricks. That's why this is recorded, so you can come back to it. Okay. Sue receives a base salary of $90 weekly plus a 12% commission on all sales. Sue had $3,000 in sales this week. How much did she make in total for the week? Well, we know she made at least $90. If she sold nothing, she would have made $90. But she didn't. She sold something. So she got 12% commission on all the sales. So we know what she received was the $90 plus 12% of $3,000. Guys, sometimes you don't need, when it comes to these math skills, you don't have to always memorize a formula. You just got to think about what it is you're doing. This is the base, and this is the commission. And that's going to give us a total. So we know it's $90 plus 12% of $3,000. So what we're going to do is $3,000 times 12%, which, by the way, you could put 0.12 times 3,000 in your calculator and get the same thing. So when I do 3,000 times 12%, I get $360. I hope she's part-time because ain't nobody living off this little bit of money. So 90 plus 360, that's going to give me, what is that, 450? Woohoo. She made $450 this week. I am really hoping this is a part-time job. Really hoping it's a part-time job. Because if that's all she is making this week, she is going to go hungry. Absolutely going to go hungry. Poor thing. Bless her little heart. All right, I'm sick of red. Let's move to purple. Next problem. And thanks, Trix. I appreciate you talking to me. I really do. I really, 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 really do. It lets me know I'm not alone and that I'm not talking to the voices in my head. Well, okay, I probably am talking to the voices in my head, but it makes me feel better. Number 10. If Jimmy made 15% profit on the sale of a custom design boat and the original cost of the boat was $15,000, how much did Jimmy sell the boat for? Ooh, I like this one. This means we got to talk about profits and loss. So all profits and all losses are based off of what you originally paid. So let's just pretend. I'm going to go here. I don't want to waste my precious space there. Let's pretend I bought something for $100. And then let's say I sold it on Facebook Marketplace for $80. This is a loss. Why? Because I originally paid $100, but when I sold it, I didn't get my $100. I got $80. So I'm missing all that difference right there. Versus if I sold it for $120. Well, if I bought it for $100 and then I sold it for $120, I made back my original, plus I got some extra. This is a profit. Right? You said we are just overthinking and in slow motion processing math. You know what, Trix? I know, and I don't mind. I knew coming in that it would be me talking a lot. This is to help people now and in the future. I know I'm going somewhat fast, but I really want y'all to feel comfortable rolling backwards and rewinding. Also, even though I didn't plan to mess up, I want y'all to know if you are struggling with math, do not be embarrassed to come to me. Y'all saw me completely decimate and kill a problem incorrectly. Just pick yourself up and you keep on going. If I can make a mistake like that live here on YouTube, you should not be afraid to make a mistake in front of me on a one-on-one or we do one of these. Mistakes happen. It's what you learn from them. It's how you pick yourself up and move forward. It's kind of like failing the test. A lot of y'all come and be like, I failed the test, I'm going to give up. Absolutely not. What you learned is, what do I need to work on? This is what I need to do better. So failure is not really failure. You can fail forward. You can learn from, hey, I didn't get the exact results I wanted. That's all. All right, that's your sermon for the day. So we all understand loss, it means you got less than the original, whatever you originally paid. And we know profit is when you sell it for more than you originally paid. If we understand that, we can do this problem. So again, Jimmy bought this boat, I want it purple, for $15,000. That's what he bought it for. But when he sold it for more. He got his original $15,000, and then this is 15%. He sold it for the $15,000 plus some extra money. Plus some extra money. So what am I going to do? Well, now guys, the way I'm doing this math, I'm doing it step by step. This is probably, I'm going to show you the slower way to do it because this is about understanding. Sometimes you might go to somebody for math help and they'll be like, oh no, you could have just done this. That's great. Bully for them. We're walking through it step by step so we understand and can do it on our own, right? So we know that this, we got to find this 15%. Well, how do I find 15% of $15,000? $15,000 times 15% is equal to $2,250. So what did he sell this for? He sold it for this $15,000 plus the $2,250. $15,000 plus the $2,250. This is what he originally made. That's the profit. And so this is the total he sold it for. So 15,000 plus 2,250 is $17,250. There you go. Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Sometimes if you see me doing math, you'll see me put against the, the last number there. But what did I want you to learn from this? Some of y'all on your exams, a lot of you all on your exams have to deal with profit and loss questions. Because, hey, you're going to be working with sellers. And sellers want to sell their house at a profit. And they might say, hey, this was my investment property. I bought it for X. I'm only going to sell it if I make this amount in profit. This percentage in profit. You've got to know how to do that. All right. And again, I know that I'm not giving you all real estate questions. We're just talking about basic math skills, basic math concepts. Once you get to class, you will have some math, like real estate math questions. Right? I just don't want you to get wigged out because we're doing real estate math. No. If you can do what I'm doing now, you can do the math on the test. All right, number 11. And I'm not even going to lie, y'all. When I see words like yards and then feet, I'm like, oh, I have to change one to another. It's not because I can't. It's just because the more numbers there are for me, the harder it is to make sure I get it absolutely right. So let's just read it. Erica bought 3.5 yards of fabric. If she uses 2/3 of the fabric to make a curtain, how many feet will she have left? Guys, if you're not like one of those people like my dad who can just look at numbers and be like, oh, just do blah, 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 blah. I love my father. But you know what, Dad? I can't do that in my head. I can't. So let's imagine this. All right. There's this whole big piece of fabric. We know this fabric is a total of 3.5 yards. Now, I'm hoping you remember that's because I did 1 divided by 2, right? So, which is 0.5, just as a reminder. But that's 3.5 yards. So, let's figure out, it's asking me how many feet I have left. So, let's get this 3.5 into feet. 3.5 yards, we multiply times 3 to get the total number of feet. So 3.5 times 3 equals 10.5. Somehow I feel like I should have been able to do that in my head. That's 10.5 feet. She used 2/3 of it. Now, we can look at this problem a couple of ways. We could find 2/3 and then subtract 2/3 from the total. That is perfectly valid. But what I would tend to do is I would say, hey, this fabric was put into 3s. This is a third. This is a third. And this is a third. And we know, by the way, 1/3 is equal to 0.3333 repeating. So couldn't I just find, and we know that is 33%. We know that. So couldn't I just find 33% of 10.5 feet? I mean, she used 2/3. She has left 1/3. I mean, if I were to draw this out, boom, do, do, do. It's a peace sign. Okay, that's awful. That's just bad, Candace. Let's try that again. That's a little better. This is a third. This is a third. This is a third. Well, if she uses this third and she uses this third, she has 1/3 left. It's okay to use some just basics there. I could just find 1/3. 1/3 is equal to 0.33, which is equal to 33%. So why don't I just take 10.5 times 33%? And if I do that, 10.5 times, helps if I hit the numbers right, times 33%, I get 3.465, blah, 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 which I'm just going to go ahead and round. It's 3.5 feet left. It all is getting to the same place. This is why I'm doing it. It's about your math basics. Being able to imagine this makes the math so much easier. You don't have to do it that way. There's lots of different orders you could do this and you'll get to the same answer. But if you understand the relationship between decimals and percentages, it'll save you some math. It'll save you from having to find 2/3, then taking that number and subtracting it from the total, and then getting the answer. Let's just get straight to the point. All right, number 12. The sales tax rate in Wilson County is 6.75%. So this is, when you go to the store, some states I know don't charge tax, but you went to the store, you bought something, and the sales tax is 6.75%. Suppose the total price of the item that you bought in Wilson County is $41 plus 0.93, $41.93. What is the price of the item before tax? So let's put this in perspective. There's the price of the item plus 6.75% of the price of the item, and that equals $41.93. $41.93. That makes sense to everybody? There's the original price of the item plus the tax amount, and that total is 41.93. Okay? So what do we do here? Well, here's what I know. Remember, we had 100%. This is 100%. This is the original. And then we have 6.75% of the original, and that gives you the total, which was 41.93. So we know the final total has got to be more than our original. This final total, 41.93, is 100% of the original price plus 6.75%. I can add that together, 106.75%. 41.93 represents 106.75%. Or, let's kind of take it up here. If you have the original price and you multiplied it by 106.75%, you would get 41.93. I know I didn't leave very much space to work there, but that's okay. Whatever the original price is, if you found 106.75% of that, you would get 41.93. This is our unknown. Oh yeah, sure, Shatara. This last problem right here, not a problem. Sorry it took me a second. I'm working and looking at my screen, but that's fine. Right. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And don't forget, this will also be on my channel. Y'all can watch it as you want. So we know 41.93 is not 100% of the sales, the original price of the product. It is 106%. So if that's our unknown, we got to get rid of. We know this. The opposite of, we got to get rid of this. The opposite of multiplying by 106.75% is to divide by 106.75%. And what we do on one side, we do on the other. That's so terrible. Let's just move. I'm just going to shift this over. So we know if we take $41.93 and divide it by 106.75, we'll get the answer. No problem. Yep. And great. Yes. Tricks, I'm sorry I didn't see it. Yes, you divide. So let's do it. 41.93 divided by 106.75. Remember, if I wanted to turn this into a decimal, Dr. Pepper, that would be 1.0675. Well, I do that and I get 39.27. That is the original cost. Right, 39.27, 39.28. Not worried about it. It said rounded to 2 decimal places. Either way, you're good. There you go. Yay. Hey, look, it's taxes. We might have done sales taxes, but aren't you going to have to do real property taxes on your class exam and your state exam? Yeah. And we said it's a tax rate of a percentage. But remember, our tax rate on real property exams could be something like you're going to pay, $1.47 per 100 of value. I hate to break it to you, but taxes are the same thing. When we say the tax rate is 6.75%, we're saying for every dollar you buy something, you need to pay them 6.75 cents. Now, I realize it's hard to have a 0.75 cents, but that's literally what we're saying. Hey, you bought something for $1. They're going to probably round up. You owe us $1.07. Pay us $1.07 because the rate is actually a dollar amount per, like it's some dollar per $100, per $1, there's some dollar amount. I think that's the best way to say it. All right, let's roll on. Whew, water. It's like groceries, exactly. I am enjoying the fact that now that I've moved back to Michigan, there's no tax on groceries. Well, there wasn't. I'm excited about that. I should probably buy my own groceries and not let my parents do it. Yes, I'm a grown woman. Don't judge. All right, the profit P realized by a company varies directly as the number of products it sells. If a company makes a profit of $7,800 on the sale of 325 products, what is the profit when the company sells 5,000 products? Y'all want me to be honest? If I got this problem on the test, you know what I would say? We do not care. Have y'all seen this woman on TikTok and, on Facebook? It's the We Do Not Care Club for women over 40. We do not care. That's exactly what I would say. I don't care. I absolutely positively do not care. Could I figure this problem out? Yeah, I can. But there's so many words, I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to skip it. Skip it. And then at the end, if you have the time and the mental capabilities to figure out this problem, right? If you have the time and the mental capabilities to follow up this problem, then do it. If you get a problem like this where you're like, what are you even talking about? Skip it. Nobody says you have to get all the problems right. You just have to. What I don't want you to do is spend 20 minutes trying to figure this out. And if you're successful, yay, but you wasted 20 minutes. If you're not successful, you really wasted 20 minutes and you're going to have to waste some more time trying to get the answers. If you look at it and you're just like, nope, that's okay. You can't do it for every problem, but you can do it for some problems. But let me do it because I promised I would, right? So there's a profit of $7,800. That's the amount of profit, right? And that profit was off of 325 items. So if I wanted to find the profit per item, I would divide. If you made $7,800 and you sold $325 worth of $325 items, we could find out an amount per item. How much was each item profit? How much profit did you get off each item? So I'm going to take $7,800 divided by 325. And that means there was $24 in profit per item. Right? So it's $24 of profit per item. Then it says, well, if that's true, what's the profit when the company sells 5,000 products? Hey, this was just 325 products. 325 products times $24 per item will give you $7,800. So what am I going to do? Well, I know it's $24 per item for profit. We sold 5,000 items. So I'm going to do 5,000 times $24. That is $120,000 in profit. Now look at there, guys. That was not terrible. It wasn't terrible, but it does make us sit there and go, what? What are you even talking about? You don't want that. We don't want to shake our confidence on this exam. What you want is to feel confident. And if you read a problem and you go, oh, gugh, it's okay to be like, we'll save that for later. Or once you get to the end, or you could do it then, don't panic, just look at it and then do it. This is our answer. Yay. Wasn't so bad. But what did I want you to learn from this problem? There's 2 steps. You had to do step 1 in order to get step 2. In order to get step 2, you had to do step 1. And for those people using T-bars, sometimes you use a T-bar so that you can use the information from that T-bar so you can use the information from that T-bar. Sometimes that's what happens. Sometimes it's just a multi-step problem. And if it's going to take too long, skip it, come back to it at the end. And I understand tricks, you panic. Look, if you're panicking, move on. In fact, if you're panicking, stop, put your, pencil down, close your eyes for a second, and just breathe and let that panic go. All right, how about number 14? Jen wants to tile the floor of her kitchen. The floor is rectangular and measures 12 feet by 8 feet. If it costs $2.50 per square foot for materials, what is the total cost of materials for tiling the kitchen floor? It seems like a lot of words, but it's not so bad. Hey, we know how to find this. We know how to do this. It's asking us per square foot. We're looking for the area. It's actually a simple question minus the first sentence. I know, right? I got you. Area is equal to length times width. And they said her kitchen is a perfect rectangle. It is 12 feet by 8 feet. 12 feet by 8 feet. If area is length times width, then we know the area is equal to 8 times 12, and we know the area, 8 feet by 12 feet, and that's going to be 8 times 12. Wait, why did I know? Okay, I put that in the calculator. That's how I know I'm tired. That's 96 feet squared. Or 90, sorry, not 96 feet squared, 96 squared feet. And I should probably not put it feet squared. I sometimes do. It should be square feet, because that's not the same thing. So we know there's 96 square feet, and if it's $2.50 per square foot, I'm going to multiply it by 96. 96 times 2.50 equals 240. 240 is the total cost of materials. Whoop, whoop. Again, not too bad. It's not too bad when you look at it. You just have to stop. There's nothing wrong with drawing it out. If I didn't draw these out, I probably could not get them right. I just can't. My brain, I got to see it. All right. Number 15. Rick renovated his home. He made the area, whenever I think of area, I think time, length times width. He made the area of his bedroom 40% larger than its original size. If the original dimensions were 144 inches by 168 inches, how big is his room now if measured in square feet? What? You want me to take inches? And then you got to make me to get into feet, and then we got to find square feet? What? Okay, it's not that bad. Let's draw it out. Drawing it out makes sense. So we got this bedroom. Doesn't have to be to scale. We got this bedroom. And then what he did is he added on to the bedroom. He said, I want to add 40% more. Whatever this originally was, I have 40% more. So we need to know, what is it now? What is his room now? So let's look at this. The problem told us the dimensions were 144 inches, which remember is the double thing, times or by 168 inches. Well, guys, let's get those inches into feet. We know there's 12 inches in a foot, so I'm going to take 144 and divide it into 12. So when I take 144, I divide it by 12. What I get is 12. This thing is 12 feet. And I do the same thing over here. 168 divided by 12 is... that one I got to put in the calculator. 14. So really this thing is 14 feet by 12 feet. Well, we know area, the total square feet of this would be area equals length times width. And so the total area, the original area of this thing is 12 feet by 14 feet. Doesn't matter which order you put it in. So now the area of this thing is going to be 168 square feet. 168 square feet. But that was what it originally started out with. Now his room is 168 square feet plus 40%. Plus 40% of 168 square feet. And that's what it is now. Well, how do I find 48%? Or I said 48%, but I'm going to say 40% of 168 square feet. Well, I can do that. 168 times 40% is equal to 168. 168 times 40%. That is 67.2. 67.2 feet. So that means the room is 168 plus 67.2, which means this is square feet. This is square feet. That gives me 235.2 square feet. Okay. Now, just as a spoiler alert for you all that are a little bit more advanced, what I could have done, this is the woulda, coulda, shoulda. If I was actually doing this problem, I would have said, hey, we started with 168 square feet, and I want to find not 100% of it, but I want to find 140%. I want the original 100 plus 40%. That's 140%. I could literally do 168 times 140%. And that also is going to give you 235.2. That makes sense? Hopefully so. Yay. All right. Number 16. We got 5, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 5 more to go. Yes, I just used my fingers to count that. 5 more to go. We might actually finish before 9. You are looking to add edging around the entire flower bed in your front yard. Edging would be the perimeter of the problem. Where did I get 12 from? 12. Because 12, I think you're talking about here. 1 was 12 there. There's a 12 here. So the length times width was 12 times 14. I think that's where you were getting that from. And we know it's 12 because 144 inches, there's 12 inches in a foot. So that's how I got the 12 feet. Right? Hopefully. Shatara, let me know if I need to go back. I know there's a little bit of delay, but let me know if I need to go back. I do not mind. That's why I'm doing this. And I promise you, because I have future students that are going to watch this, I'm sure there's a student in my future that is going to watch this and they'll have that same question. So thank you for asking. And if I need to explain some more, let me know. So it says, you are looking to add edging around an entire flower bed in your front yard. If the edging costs $2.32 per 12-inch stone, and the flower bed is 6 yards by 1 yard, how much will the edging cost? Are you serious? Once again, this is one of those problems I'd be like, ugh. I mean, I can do this, but dude, you're making me think. All right, so let's draw it out. You got a flower bed. All right, there's a flower bed. Ooh. Okay, that's a terrible flower, but work with me here. It's a flower bed. And the flower bed, remember the first number is how wide? It is 6 yards. And then it's 1 yard. And then we know we're going to have to deal with these inches. Okay. So there's yards, there's inches. Why don't we get all of this to feet? Why don't we get this all to feet? I like to do all my math in feet. So let's get our inches in feet. Let's get this into feet. So I think we can all agree 12 inches is 1 foot. So it is $2.32 per foot. Okay, we're good. Check. Boop. 6 yards by 1 yard. Well, 6 yards would be equal to 6. There's 6 yardsticks and there's 3 feet in each yardstick. That's 18. That's 18 feet in 1 yard would be 1 times 3 feet. So that'd be 3 feet. So really, this thing is 18 feet by 3 feet. Great. And it's costing me $2.32 feet per foot. And if we want to add edging, we got to know how many of these, we got to know per, you know what I'm trying to say. How many feet is the perimeter, because it's going to cost me $2.32 for each of those numbers. So we got 18 feet plus 3 feet plus 18 feet plus 3 feet. So we can add all of that together. We can say 18 feet plus 3 feet plus 18 feet plus 3 feet. And if I did my math right, let's see, 18 plus 18 plus 3 plus 3. I just happen to do my numbers that way. I got 42 feet. Altogether, the perimeter is 42 feet. So if it's 42 feet and it's $2.32 per foot, then that means our answer is going to be $97.44 just for the edging. Just for the edging. There we go. All right, number 17. Again, ask questions if you have them. An instrument store gives a 10% discount, okay, on all students off the original cost of an instrument. During a back-to-school sale, an additional 15% is taken off of the discounted price. Boop. Why are you not doing what I need you to do? There we go. Off the discounted price. A student at the local high school purchases a flute for $306 for the sale. How much did it originally cost? What? All right, well, let's think about this. There was an original price, and we subtracted 15%, and that gave me the discount number 1 price. Then we had the discount number 1 price, and we subtracted, oh, sorry, I did that backwards. 10% was the first discount to all students, and then an additional 15% is taking off that discounted price. Then we got to take 15% off that number, and that gives me a final price. So I'm gonna work backwards, and in order to work backwards, what I want to do is rewrite this so it gives a little bit more sense. So I can like write in between here. So let's go here. There was an original price. We subtracted the original 10%, and that gave me the discount number 1 price. Whatever the discount number 1 price is, we subtracted 15%, and that gave me my final cost. All right, let's change colors. Well, we know the final cost was $306. We know the final cost was $306. So we are solving for basically, we'll call this A. We know that A subtract 15% is $306. Well, this goes back to kind of what we did earlier. If A is the total, and we took off 15% and we were left with 306, so discounted price A, we know when we took off this 15%, we were left for $306. So that $306 right there, if that's 15%, that $306 is, that's not what I wanted, 85%. $306 is 85% of the original discounted price. $306 is not the final cost. $306 is 85% of the original discounted price because there was a new 15% discount. They took 15% off of whatever A was. So I'm going to do, hey, I can say that $306 is 85% of what number? Or I could say whatever A was, which was D number 1, if I found 85% of this, that would give me 306. Which means, and we've done this a couple times now, we got to divide by 85%. We got to divide by 85%. So I can do A, that first discounted price is 306 divided by 85%. 306 divided by 85% is 360. Woohoo! If there was not this additional 15% off, the discounted price would have been $360. But because they had this additional sale, you only paid $306. Love it. Great. Unfortunately, that's not what they're friggin' asking us. Crap. They're asking us how much did it originally cost. I know what it cost after the first discount. So let's keep on going. Well, we know the discounted price was, I'm going to choose a different color here. How about blue? Our discounted price was $360. And we paid $360 after a 10% discount off of the original price. So again, whatever the original price was, we got a 10% discount, which means all of this right here, you ended up paying 90% of the original price, which means I know, and I'm going to go like I did over here, whatever the original price was, I ended up paying 90%, and that gave me $360. So I can solve this because remember, opposites divide by 90%. I'm going to do divide by 90%, which means I'm just going to move all this over. The original price is equal to 360 divided by 90%, and 360 divided by 90% is $400. Were there a lot of steps? Yes. But let me say this. What you cannot do is just add up, 10% plus 15% is 25%. So there was a 25% discount. And we know the final price was $306. So some of y'all might have said, this is the unknown. So you might have said 306 divided by, that means you ended up, you had a 25% discount. So we're actually looking for the 75. So you might have said, 306 is 75% of what number? And you would have gotten 408. That's not a big difference at $8, but it's not right. And I guarantee you the details matter. You cannot find take 25% off of, you can't find 75%. Yeah. You can't say 306 is 75% of the original price. Math doesn't work that way. And that's why I include this math problem. You can't do that. You can't just add the 10% and the 15%. This time we found 15% of 360 or 85% of 360. This time we were dealing off of, this number. Like, do you get what I'm saying there? We're not using the numbers the same. I know that sounds crazy. Or I guess you say you're doing the 15% in the 306 and this one you're using the 360. Either way, just don't add them together. Don't do that. No. All right, number 18. I know Trix is still with me. Woohoo! Thank you, Trix. You're my math road dog today. If anybody else is here, and I know, Shatara, you have been here so a while, so thank you. You purchase a car making a down payment of $3,000 and 6 monthly payments of $225. How much have you paid so far for the car? I mean, all right. Wait, why do I have that one? I thought I took that one off. I thought we weren't doing that one. I don't remember. You know what? I wasn't supposed to have this. I thought I had removed this question. I mean, I don't like it. I remember I stole these questions from somewhere, but I mean, I guess if you made a payment of $3,000 and 6 monthly payments of $225, well, you paid the $3,000 plus you made $225, plus $225 plus $225. So you did this 6 times. So this is really 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is the same as going 225 times 6, which is 1350. So you've made $1350 in payments, plus you had the original $3,000 down payment, so that would have been $4,350. I remember I took this problem out because I was just like, why? Why do we need this problem? This would be a better problem if they asked us the difference between principal amounts and the interest amounts. I don't love the question, but we did it anyway. All right. 19. We got 2 more. Can you feel the end? I can. All right. Ben is making wooden toys for the next arts and crafts sale. The cost to make each toy is $1.80. That's an important number. If he sells the toys for $3 each, how many will Ben have to sell to make a profit of $36? All right. Well, let's figure out how much profit he makes per toy. He sells these bad boys for $3. That's the sales price, but the cost to build is $1.80. So that means he makes $1.20 in profit for each toy. Now his end goal is $36. So the question is, how many $1.20s how many of these would he need to get $36? Well, guys, this is what dividing is all about. You would just say, hey, if I want to make $36, but I'm grouping that into $1.20, I need to know how many $1.20s go into 36. So 36 divided by $1.20 means he needs to sell 30 toys. Make sense? I'm hoping so. Sometimes, guys, and this is why I wrote these, why I didn't write these questions, I chose these questions. They sound or read so much harder than they actually are. And if I could say walk away with anything from today, you're going to get these math problems on, your exam, unless you're in California, that are about principal and interest and all of these other things, and people freak out. I honestly think the math I'm doing right now is harder than anything you might see on the test. But people freak out when they see it, and when they freak out, they're like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. You know what? Once we slowed down, we knew how to do all of these problems, but we freaked out at first. I promise you, literally, the math I'm doing now, I do believe is conceptually harder. We just had to stop and slow down. The long ones are scary. It's okay. The long ones seem scary, but look, once we did it, was that so scary? Once we did it, was that so scary? Once we did it, it's long, but the concept isn't hard. It's just a lot of words. Now, again, I don't love math. Y'all saw me mess it up. But we have to get over our fear and be like, I can do this because I know you can. All right, number 20. Woohoo! Philip charged $400 worth of goods on his credit card. All right, what'd he buy? Ooh, maybe he bought me that new Charmin. Have y'all seen that new $30 Charmin that like is expensive? Somebody needs to buy that for me. On his first bill, he was not charged any interest, and he made a payment of $20. He then charged another $18 worth of goods. On his second bill a month later, he was charged an 8% interest, 8% monthly on his entire unpaid balance. How much interest was Philip charged on his second bill? Once again, oh, girl Tricks, thanks for your patience with me. So let's talk about this. Philip, let's pick a new color. Let's do orange. That's not orange. This is orange. So we know first he charged $400. Now on his first bill, he was not charged any interest, but he did. This was your original balance. But he did pay down $20. So now his new balance in month 2 is, I can add or subtract $380. Woot woot. But then in month 2, he bought $18 worth of goods. Now he owes $18 more. So now at the end of month 2, he owes $398. Now this problem told us he's charged 8%, a flat 8% interest, 8% monthly on his entire unpaid balance. So how much interest does he charge? Okay. Well, if he owes $398 this month and he's charged 8%, which sounds illegal, but that's fine. This is what the problem said to do. This is what we're going to do. It sounds like usury to me, but I could be wrong. Maybe, I don't know. I guess it's not usury, but still, it just sounds ridiculous. $398 times 8% is going to be 31.84. How much interest did he pay on his next bill? $31.84. And that, boys and girls, are your basic math skills. Oh, look, those are the answers. But this is what I say. If any of these questions were difficult, like once I split it down, you're like, but Candace, I still don't know why you multiplied or why you divided. I don't understand how you manipulated the 100%, and sometimes you added and sometimes you subtracted. Then I need you to make sure you look at this checklist, right? And percentages of increase and decrease, you know, just dealing with stuff like that, multi-step word problems, things like that, you just want to work on it. Now, having said that, if you're struggling, you got some options. Now, obviously, you can always tutor with me. And if you're short on funds, then come to one of the free sessions. You know, it's always Fridays at 3 p.m. Eastern. I'm live to help you. And then sometimes during the week, I just randomly go live. Subscribe so you know. I wish I had a schedule. My ADHD brain does not work that way. So you could tutor with me. Or if you want, check out Khan Academy online. If free. If you want a more of a book person, then go ahead and get this book. And this is a really good book too. I like those. But guys, remember, on my YouTube page, I have tons of math videos as well. Those are going to be real estate math, but they're there to help you. So again, for those of y'all that are here in real life hanging out with me, my last posted math video was rewatching it. You mean the one with T-bars? If you're talking about T-bars, I can add some more if you want. I can do some more problems. In fact, Tricks, if you want to, do some lives with me where we go over, we record it, it's just you and me, and I put it on there using the T-bar, we can do that. Send me an email. But if you're in the future and you're watching this, remember the goal of this thing, all of these 20 problems, was to just kind of talk about your basic skills. These are the basic, hey, do I multiply? Do I divide? Do I add? What are these percentages things? All of these are skills you're going to use in class, and you can always ask me for help. So again, thanks for hanging in with me, guys. I'll be live tomorrow, and then on Friday, I'll be live as well. I might actually do something Thursday night. I don't know. Oh, and spoiler alert, Maria will be on live with me one of these days too. So you are so very welcome. Guys, I'm going to go eat some dinner now because I didn't eat during that last little break. And I ate a little bit, but I'm still hungry because I didn't eat today. Yeah, I'm going to stop talking now. Bye. Oh, thank you. You're so very welcome for the T-bars. You are so very welcome. And Bobby, like I said, I'll make more T-bar videos if you want. All right, guys, got to go. Bye, everybody, and thank you.